Oh hey, didn't see you there. It's been a while, hasn't it? Just been really busy lately keeping up with all the new live service AAA games. Actually, in fact, I'm playing one right now. Here, let me pull it up. Oh no. You know, sometimes you just gotta play games from a simpler time. Before microtransactions, battle passes, and early access, back when games were made to be a full experience from day one, not all these games were perfect, but even when a game comes along and checks all the boxes, even if it influenced game development for an entire console, it can still sometimes slip through the cracks. There's one such game that nobody ever seems to talk about. 20 years after its original release, the DS remains to be one of my favorite video game consoles. Playing it today, there's just something so special about it. It's got such a fun history and such a unique collection of games. After Nintendo's launch of the GameCube in 2001 led to disappointing sales, Nintendo found themselves failing to compete with rival consoles at the time. Struggling financially, Nintendo adopted a blue ocean style of marketing strategy. Instead of competing with the superior hardware of Sony and Microsoft, they would create a new demand for a product, for a whole new, mostly untapped audience. In November 2004, the DS released in North America with 7 launch titles, one of which was known in the States as feelthemagic XYXX, or in Europe and Australia, Project Rup. After Sega dissolved UGA in 2003, former members were merged into Sonic Team, including Sega director Takumi Yoshinaga, who had previously worked for Sega on the Space Channel 5 series of games. Yoshinaga was tasked with developing a game that would showcase the full potential of the soon-to-launch DS to both Nintendo fans as well as future developers for the system. During development, Yoshinaga got the idea for a love comedy story built to take full advantage of interaction with the touchscreen after deciding the English words for rub and love sounded similar. So after all that, what did we get in the end? Well, Feel the Magic starts off with us meeting our unnamed protagonist, this little blue-haired dude, who sees and instantly falls in love with an unnamed girl. That one. Yeah, so before we get too far, I have to mention, literally none of the characters in this game have official names. I even tried to find out if they had any code names or temporary names during development, but I couldn't find anything. See, Yoshinaga wanted to represent the characters in Feel the Magic with silhouettes to allow for player interpretation. So to make my script a little easier to write, we're going to refer to our protagonist as Blue Guy. Say hi, Blue Guy.
Hello, Mario.
At first, Blue Guy's love interest, May, isn't as receptive, but over time, the protagonist attempts to win her over with the help of the
Rub Rabbit Super Performance Group,
which seem to be these like semi-godlike dudes with rabbit ears. Yeah, I don't know. Player interpretation, remember? But I'm pretty sure they do have some kind of weird powers. One of the first ones we see teleports into a movie theater screen, which is for some reason showing Blue Guy's life on the screen. I'm still trying to figure out if that means Blue Guy's life is a movie. Or actually, maybe they brought him to life from a movie? After noticing Blue Guy's infatuation with May, wanting to help out, one of the Rub Rabbits gives him a goldfish. Okay. After that, some dude runs into us, causing Blue Guy to immediately lose his grip and send the goldfish flying, which the guy who ran into us ends up swallowing. Okay. And with that, our first minigame begins. Scene 0 here serves as more of an introduction to the gameplay, being by far the simplest game. Here, all we have to do is give the guy who ran into us the Heimlich maneuver. All we do here is slide up with a stylus, trying to get the fish out of the guy's stomach. Super easy. After that, we get a brief glimpse of our main antagonist for the game. We'll call him Pink Guy. Pink Guy also develops feelings for our waifu here. Now, real quick, a little explanation on how the microgame aspect works. The main story mode is made up of 18 scenes. Scenes are a collection of games. Generally, each game will have us doing 5 rounds of a specific microgame that get progressively harder each round. A relatively simple but honestly effective formula. Now, you do have to deal with a quick break halfway through each scene, so get ready for a lot of this.
Break time, break time, break time, break time, break time.
Alright, I get it!
After all of that, we join the Rub Rabbits and unlock our next scene. This scene has us presented with multiple games to choose between. You can beat them in any order and combination, even being allowed to ignore one in favor of playing an alternative multiple times, Just keep in mind, any game you don't clear won't be unlocked in the Memories game mode, which we'll touch on later. Each game cleared here is going to net us 45 points, with the goal being to earn 100 points to clear the scene. We've got Cart, Candle, and Parachute. Cart has our characters riding shopping carts down a hill, where we'll need to clear spikes off the road by rubbing a stylus to clear a path. Candle has us defending Earth from
evil, sentient, candles.
Yeah, okay. So Candle has us using the microphone to try to extinguish the flames from the candles. So all we got to do here is... Finally, we have Parachute. Simply punch in the numbers above the skydivers' heads as they jump, before they reach the bottom of the screen. After all of that, we jump into Scene 2, where May finally notices Blue Guy. Just in time for a stampede of bulls to come charging in. And of course, we're tasked with saving everyone. Scene 2 serves as our first boss fight, where it's more of an endurance round than anything. One round, one life. All we do here is tap on the bulls to calm them down. At the end, we'll fight a big old boy. Now wait a minute. I know the intro said tap the bulls to calm them, but that's sound. I mean, I guess that's one way to calm them. So after we, calm the bulls, May ends up covered in mud, and we give our dirty girl a good old rub down. Did I really write that? Once she's all taken care of, the Rub Rabbits show back up and tell us the only real way to win her over is with another performance. You know what that means. Running over pedestrians in a giant bowling ball. So we've got two games this time around, Bus Stop and Antlion. In Bus Stop, we roll ourselves through traffic using the stylus to try and roll ourselves into a group of pedestrians and knock them over like bowling pins. Or as the judge called it, multiple homicide. Next up is Antlion. Okay, I'll be honest, I actually had a really hard time with this one. All you have to do is slide up on the people falling into the quicksand, but for some reason I just can't keep up after the first two rounds. Most of the games here are pretty easy, but I don't know, man. This one just kicked my ass. Between scenes, we see Blue Guy having a nightmare where he's trying to save a girl from drowning. This comes back up, I promise. Scene 5 has the Rub Rabbits show back up to encourage Blue Guy to ask May on a date, which leads us into Painter and Monocycle. Painter has us coloring in outlines with spray paint while avoiding the falling skydivers. While Monocycle has us using the stylus to balance ourselves while crossing a bridge within a certain amount of time. And I guess that was enough to woo the girl because she ends up agreeing to go out on a date. But unfortunately, the date goes wrong when a delivery truck full of live scorpions crashes into a light pole and sends scorpions flying all over May. Oh no. Once we've permanently calmed another animal, we have the choice of playing through either Signs, which is a simple tile flip game, or which once again has us yelling into the mic, this time to grab May's attention. Once we've cleared the scene, we get a cutscene where Pink Guy shows back up, kidnapping May and leading us into our second boss encounter. This time, we'll be giving chase as we pick up pedestrians to use as projectiles against Pink Guy. As his vehicle takes more damage, Pink Guy will try to use a variety of weapons against us. We do have a health bar which allows us to take a small amount of damage before failing the stage. Just pay attention to the range when launching pedestrians. All in all, not too difficult. With the stage cleared, Blue Guy saves May, and they flee on a sailboat, while some of the bystanders hold Pink Guy off. Stage 9 has us blowing into the mic once again to propel our newly acquired boat, avoiding sharks while trying to rescue May after falling overboard. After rescuing her once again, the boat crashes and we end up in the middle of nowhere, washing up on a deserted island. Oh my god! After we have a very special moment on the beach, we enter our next multi-game scene with Seeker, Snake, and Dancer. Seeker has us digging for items hidden in the sand. The goal here is to find the exact item displayed on the top screen. Now there are also some red herrings buried that will look very similar, but they do have a slight difference. Our second game is Snake, which has us maneuvering through the stomach of a giant snake after being swallowed, avoiding slime balls while we escape. And then we have Dancer. Okay, so this is another one I really struggled with. I had no issue with the first few rounds, but by about round 3, I would fail every single time and lose all of my lives. Maybe it was something about the rhythm, I really don't know, but after multiple attempts, this was actually the only game I never finished. So in this one situation, I did opt to instead play a few extra rounds of Seeker, just for the points to complete the stage. I'm never gonna beat this game. What's even the point? I might as well give up now.
No, it can't end like this. Somebody has to talk about this game. And you know what? If nobody else will, then I don't have a choice. I have to do it. For Blue Guy.
Our next boss stage begins as a giant plant monster shows up and abducts May. All we do here is burn the vines while avoiding getting hit. After taking enough damage, we have to do a timed button press segment where we throw the torches into the plant's mouth to finish it off. After completing the level, Pink Guy shows up just in time to steal our waifu away yet again, and we give chase on our trusty motorcycle. In this stage, we navigate a bridge while avoiding sharks as we follow Pink Guy to his evil lair. Accompanied by the Rabbitmen, we sneak in, using some strategically placed cats to distract the guards. Tapping on the cats will cause the guards to look in the direction of the sound. Not too hard, but this is one of the scenes that actually takes a little bit of strategy to complete. Once inside the base, Blue Guy ends up trapped in a room that releases sleeping gas, setting us up for Nightmare, putting us into the home stretch. Nightmare is a boss rush of 3 games, and the final scene before we face off with Pink Guy. Here, we'll have to play through our first 3 boss stages once more, all with amped up difficulty. Each of the 3 games here add a few new mechanics that we'll have to deal with, and even though none of the games end up presenting too much of a challenge, I gotta say, the music being sped up with that inverted filter still makes for a pretty intense sequence. Once again, we get this dream scene, and where Blue Guy panics after attempting to save an unnamed girl. Having this scene once more, directly after the boss rush, really makes us feel like we're in the home stretch here, but also makes you a little nervous as to the fate of our characters. This is the point where you're hooked and you know you have to finish this game. And then, we see it. Last battle. We finally face off against Pink Guy, and man, the spike in difficulty here really caught me off guard. So Pink Guy climbs into a giant mech suit, and naturally, we climb into ours. This scene has us clearing projectiles by slicing them with a stylus. Each wave of projectiles gets increasingly more intense. Each round ends with us having to slice a pattern into Pink Guy's mech suit while avoiding accidentally hitting May. Man, the amount of projectiles you have to destroy, like keep in mind, you only have 2 seconds to clear the screen before you lose a life. Now sure, I understand making your final boss the hardest in the game, but you really can't afford to mess up here. You really have to save all of your lives for the last 2 rounds, where you're definitely going to start taking some damage. It's not exceptionally difficult, but expect it to take you a few attempts to clear the stage. But once you memorize that pattern, you clear the level and Pink Guy is finally defeated.
Oh, okay, no. Why would I think last battle would be the final battle? Obviously, final battle's the final battle, but final battle isn't the last battle. No,
So Pink Guy decides to unleash one final attack with his ultimate power, and after being hit, Blue Guy reveals his hair was actually a helmet, and he had a mohawk this whole time. Final Battle is a Beam of War type game set in space, where rubbing the stylus left and right powers up our mohawk beam. Now this isn't actually as difficult as the previous fight, but Pink Guy does get a power up every few seconds that pushes the beam hard in our direction. Just keep at it, and eventually, after all of that, Pink Guy appears to finally be defeated, and the protagonist turns his back, just for Pink Guy to launch one final sneak attack that hits our waifu as she jumps in front of it to defend Blue Guy. And then, something different happens. No music, no goofy cutscene, just Blue Guy having flashbacks of every moment he shared with May throughout the game, where it all just disappears before his eyes. And then, we play our final minigame. No wacky mechanics, no crazy music, Magic Touch has us simply performing CPR to try to save May's life. We learn that Blue Guy and May are actually long-lost childhood friends, and one of the rabbits reveals that the dream we've been seeing throughout the game was actually a shared memory. This whole time, Blue Guy has been living with the guilt of failing to save his friend up until this point, where he finally gets closure and two childhood sweethearts are reunited. Finally, the credits roll, and what's kind of cute here is you can actually click on different spots on the credits to hear little sound effects play, such as the Sega logo making the Sonic ring sound. Feel the Magic isn't a very long game. In fact, I managed to beat the main story in about 2 hours. However, there is still some replayability here. Although the main story will always play the same, after beating the game, we unlock Hard Mode. Hard Mode will allow us to play through the story again, with some added difficulty in each game. We also have Maniac Mode, which serves as a way to customize May's outfits and hair. This won't display in cutscenes, but you'll see the customization in any game that features her. In a game that puts so much focus on touch, outfits are unlocked by tapping specific points in every game's intro scene to find each scene's hidden bunnies. Some scenes will only have one, while others can have up to 8 that you can unlock. After finding the bunnies, you'll unlock a specific item that can be equipped and tracked in Maniac Mode. There's a total of 60 to collect in this way, with some really cool secret costumes that can be unlocked by inserting certain Sega games into the GBA slot, such as the Sonic Hat for inserting Sonic Advance 2 or 3. The final mode I want to mention is Memories. Memories lets you replay any game that you want, as long as you've already cleared it in the main story. So if you struggled with a certain game and decided to skip it, dance! It won't show in the Memories mode until you replay it in the story. Fortunately, you can always go back into story mode to select the scene that you'd like to play, which does make Memories a little redundant, but it's still a nice little option. Feel the Magic is a simple enough microgame collection with a unique and quirky story. By no means was it anything exceptional, but Sega wanted to experiment and do something creative with a new DS and its touchscreen, so I would consider it a worthwhile addition to one's collection, and absolutely worth a playthrough. I only first played it while researching for this video, and actually really enjoyed it. In fact, I enjoyed it so much that I kept playing it even after recording all the footage I needed for this video.
Hey guys, if you made it this far, I just want to say a quick thank you. Like and subscribe. We've set up a new Twitter and Patreon. You can support us, follow us. Baba booey.